What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. Took the day off yesterday, just needed a rest day, but I kind of wanted to jump into a story that came out yesterday. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it, but I wanted to talk about how the New York Giants ranked in ESPN's poll of teams under the age of 25. In addition to that, I want to let everybody know I will be live for my midday Q&A stream. I've been doing those. You guys seem to enjoy it. I'll be live around 2:30. We'll talk New York Giants football. But I wanted to jump into this story that had the New York Giants ranked number 2 overall in teams with players under the age of 25. The Ravens came in at number 1. The Cowboys, I think, were 24, and the Eagles were like 30. But the question I asked myself when I first saw it was, why did they rank that high? They did the same poll last year. The New York Giants ranked 5th, so they've been very high in this category of young players under the age of 25, which is all well and good. But the problem is, one of the problems are, that the Giants aren't taking advantage of it. Of course, once these players get to 26, 27, they're going to reach their large contract. So it's kind of a negative that the Giants have such young talent, but they haven't been able to capitalize. And that's why I say that I think the New York Giants are going to have to get urgent in terms of trying to win as soon as next year. I think this year we all realize that, yes, while we can win, it's football, we're going in with a more conservative approach. I think by 2021, you really have to put your foot on the pedal, because when you look at this New York Giants roster right now, the reason they ranked as high as they did is because they have so many players under the age of 25. On the offense, really, the only impact players that aren't under the age of 25 are Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, and Kevin Zeitler. On that offensive line, Andrew Thomas is under 25, Hernandez is under 25, Gates is under 25, I believe, Daniel Jones, Saquon, Barkley, Darius Slayton, all under the age of 25, and Evan Ingram is 25. So there you go. I mean, their core of their offense is young, which is why they ranked as high as they did. But with young players comes cost-effective contracts, which is great. But that means their contracts are going to be a lot more in the recent future. A large reason why the New York Giants ranked so high on this list is because Dave Gettleman's drafted well. But in fairness, Dave Gettleman's had a ton of picks. Last year he had 10 selections, and he's been picking early in the draft. The Giants have picked 2nd, 4th, and 6th. Each of the 2nd, 6th, and 4th, I should say, each of the last 3 drafts in the first round. They had 3 first-round picks after they traded up, and they missed on the DeAndre Baker pick, but Dexter Lawrence and Daniel Jones looked to be good in the 2019 draft. And this year, they took Andrew Thomas at number 4 overall, who I thought was a great pick and a very safe selection. But I think there's a lot of factors as to why the Giants rank as high as they do. A big reason is because they've been bad. They've been picking at the top of the draft, and another reason is, well, they've had a ton of picks over the last 3 years. But you could certainly say that Dave Gettleman's done a pretty good job at bringing in young talent with the rebuild with this roster. You could point to other factors. On the defense, you look at guys like Xavier McKinney, who we all like and think has a lot of talent. Julian Love, Peppers, a number of players are 25 or younger on that defense. Really, the only impact players that aren't are the free agents that we've brought in. Guys like Martinez and Bradbury, and Leonard Williams, I believe, is 26 years old, along with Dalvin Tomlinson, who I think is 26. But they have a lot of young talent on both sides of the ball, which is why they ranked as high as they did. But will it translate to winning? Well, that's the golden question. To win in the NFL, you need a strong unit. The offensive line needs to improve vastly this year, and I don't know if they're quite ready yet. We'll find out when the games get started. And, of course, it's all going to rest on the back of Daniel Jones and health. You know, it's great to say that we have all these talented players, but they have to stay healthy. Last year, Saquon Barkley went down with an injury. One of those players that is our best player under the age of 25. So he'll have to remain healthy. Daniel Jones will have to remain healthy, and our weapons will have to progress. But a lot of factors will go into this season about whether or not it translates on the football field. I personally still think we're a year away from really competing, and that's when our short window will open up with these young players on these cost-effective deals. But I wanted to jump into the list and some of the factors as to why they may have been as high as they did. These were the blue-chip prospects ranked by ESPN. Will Hernandez, the left guard, Saquon Barkley, the running back, Daniel Jones, the quarterback, Dexter Lawrence, the defensive tackle, and Andrew Thomas, the offensive tackle. Of course, Barkley taken 2nd overall, Jones 6th overall, Thomas 4th overall. Will Hernandez was an early 2nd-round pick. Dexter Lawrence was 17th overall. So you're talking about 4 first-round picks over the last 3 years are on that list. Notable graduates. Ingram is 25, but I guess it's under the age of 25. And B.J. Hill was another notable graduated player, or maybe those are guys that didn't quite make the list in terms of blue chip players. I think that's what that means, because B.J. Hill, I believe, is under the age of 25. So There you have it. That's not even mentioning guys like Lorenzo Carter, Xavier McKinney, who we have high expectations for, Julian Love. We know all the names. We have a lot of names, Darius Slayton being another one, of very talented players, which is why they cracked as high as they did. But I thought this was a really interesting point on Giants Wire. I'm not sure who made it, but it was on Giants Wire. The Giants are not the Ravens. The Ravens were number one. Well, the latter climbed to the top of the list on the strength of exceptional talent evaluation and development. The former reached their place in the rankings with volume. General manager Dave Gettleman inherited a 3-win Giants team with the number 2 pick in 2018, made a slew of trades and acquisition in opposition to analytics, and earned 2 more top 6 picks on the heels of a 5-4-win season. And yet Gettleman could have the last laugh. He might not have maximized his return on investment in Saquon, Barkley, and Dexter Lawrence at their draft positions in the first round, but Barkley again broke a tackle on more than 1/5 of his touches in 2019 and looks like a generational running back and still just 23 years old. And with 18 hurries in his rookie season, Lawrence showed surprising versatility for a player who looks the part of an old school run stopper. Of course, he's like 342 pounds, but we all know, he's kind of like a dancing bear. And I agree with that. I was surprised at how athletic Dexter Lawrence was last year. So it kind of brings up the point that the New York Giants got a lot of this young talent based off of volume. And I don't think you could argue with that. And the fact that they've been picking very early in the draft. But that does not mean that it won't translate to winning in the near future. The Giants definitely have a lot of talent. But like I said, it's all going to come down to the quarterback position, the offensive line maturing, and getting a pass rush. Something that the New York Giants certainly lack right now. Now, the hope is, with this new coaching staff that they brought in, Joe Judge and all these young minds, they're going to get the most out of this young talent. Something that Pat Shurmur, quite frankly, didn't do last year. These young guys, it didn't result in wins. They look sloppy at times. James Betcher, the defense, looked completely lost. But the Giants are thought to have a lot of talent, not just by Giants fans, but by the mass media. To be number 2 on this list says something. It says that we should have a bright future, but that future will only be bright for a limited portion of time, due to the fact that we're not going to be able to keep all these players once they hit their second contracts. It does show you that Dave Gettleman has done a very good job at drafting, even though he's had a lot of opportunities. Like I said, they've been picking early, they've had a lot of volume. But regardless, to rank second on this list in players under 25, which is basically players that have just been drafted over the last 3 draft classes, it says a lot about Dave Gettleman and the young talent that he's brought in this team via the draft. You could point to Dave Gettleman's, failures with trades, and he certainly had some, and you could point to some of his failures in free agency, and he certainly had some of those as well. He's been far from a perfect GM, but I continue to say that I think he was the right guy for the job at the right time. This was a team with a ton of old veterans. I would be willing to guess, if you go back to 2016 or 17 rather, before Gettleman got the job, we were not very high in terms of talent with players under the age of 25. Yes, you had Sterling Shepard, you had Evan Ingram, I suppose, that was drafted, and you had Odell Beckham. But we didn't have a lot of young talent on the defense. We didn't have a lot of young talent on that offensive line. They were getting older. And, of course, Eli Manning was 37 years old. So he's brought in a ton of young players that we hope progress. But like I continue to say, the window is small, and this team needs to take advantage of the fact that they have so many players under the age of 25, and it starts this year. I still think, though, that this will be a year where we grow into it and get ready to really compete in 2021 and 2022, which I think will be the 2 years where the Giants really have the best opportunity to win this division and hopefully compete for a Super Bowl. But it takes time, and we'll see how they mature this year. Maybe they'll surprise a lot of people. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.